What is up, YouTube? Jonny B here again today, and we are back with the IS-300. I know you guys were probably missing it because we skipped the whole video on it to do a Rocket Bunny V3 install, but we are back with the IS and showing some progress. So now this week I've been working on getting the panels that I had fixed because I didn't want to buy new ones. For example, the fender, it was literally just the little tip above the headlight that was bent. It wasn't really that much. I think it was probably like 3% damage, whereas like on body panels, if they have 20% or less, it's worth it to save them. If they have more than that, it's just better to throw them away and just go get new ones. But luckily this one wasn't that much and I was able to bend it out. It did take me a couple hours, but I got it down. Got the fender back into shape how it should be, as well as the hood. As you guys remember, the hood that I had bought had a little dent in it as well. I was able to pull that out within like 30 minutes. It was actually quicker than I thought. And pretty much we're gonna just be doing body work on the parts today so I can get them painted up and then hopefully put the car back together by tomorrow if the parts are dry enough to start doing that, because the car's pretty much straight. As soon as those parts are straight and painted, we can go ahead and just put it all back together, which is something that I've been waiting for a while because I want to get this thing on the road so I can start driving it again. So let's continue on. All right, so here is the fender piece that I already went ahead and straightened out as much as I could. So the way I do this is not really something you can teach, it's just something that you've learned over the years. I have this little toolkit that's made for bending metal back. It's pretty much just called like metalworking. And it comes with various different hammers, and this is the one that I like to use because it has like a nice little pointed edge. And what I essentially do to straighten them out is I'll put this behind one of the metals and then I'll be smacking it and getting it all to shape out into piece. If you guys remember, this section was all scrunched up back here and so was this. So I had to push it all back together, try to straighten it as much as I could. And the rest of the fender is pretty much perfect. So this from here there was the only part that was pretty much damaged. I got that out and now I'm gonna have to do some body work. So I was sanding it down with some 40 grit. Obviously it's not gonna be 100% perfect. So that's why I'm gonna be putting some of the, not Bondo, but we have something called glaze, which is something very similar. It's just much a stronger compound and it flows a lot better and it lasts a lot longer. So after, you know, getting all this bent into shape, I went ahead and put it back on the car. As you see, the fender's back on the car. I bolted it down and I was test fitting the headlight. This headlight's a bit broken, so it doesn't really show it like perfectly. So this headlight isn't, you know, lining up perfectly just because it's all broken, but if I set it how it should be, it just shows how everything's lining up good. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to test fit the fender on here, straighten it out a little bit more if I needed to, measure the headlight on here just to test fit it, make sure everything was going to line up good, and everything is lining up good. So now I know I'm good to go with finishing up with the bodywork, because once you put on the glaze, you can't really bend the fender more because everything's just going to crack and fall off, and that's one of the things that you don't want to do. I would buy a fender if I could find one cheap. For a used car like this, anywhere you can normally find them for like 60 bucks, 70 bucks. Whereas for the IS-300, you're looking at, you know, above $200, $300 for even used parts. That's why I ended up going with a full JDM clip on my first IS-300 because just Lexus parts are way too expensive. So for this little bit of damage, I'm just gonna go ahead and fix it. So let me show you guys what I've been doing with the hood. So here is the hood. I went ahead and sanded it down. There was a lot of rock chips because obviously that's what happens from when you have an older car. There's bound to be a lot of rock chips. So I went ahead and filled them in with some of the glaze, and I can sand over them just to make sure that everything's smooth. Here is the main section that was damaged. As you can see, this bottom piece all lines up really nicely now. I was actually able to get this out really quickly, and all I did is I used that hammer that I was showing you guys earlier, got it right on the little seam right here, and I just started going at it and hammering it, got it all bent out how it should be. And then there was just one little dent right here, and you can see there's two holes here. There's a third one there that's kind of covered up. So what I ended up doing is I drilled them, and then I used a special tool that kind of pulls the dent out. Got that out, and I gave it a coat of glaze. So from here, what I end up doing is I'll end up sanding this down with like a 40 grit, getting it all smooth, obviously trying to shape it at the same time. And I'll just keep going over it with more and more coats of glaze until I get it to the shape that I want it to be. I did notice there was a lot of like little imperfections on the other parts of the hood. So if you look around the hood, you can see there's other sections where I just threw in a little bit of glaze, where I sanded down the paint a little bit more like down to the bare metal, because there was a lot of imperfections. Just like in this area, there was a couple rock chips. And I want to make sure that I get all that out, so that way when I do go ahead and primer it and then paint it, you know, none of that's going to be visible after that. All right guys, so I also did a little bit of body work on the bumper. You guys remember there was a nice little gash here in this little section, and it does have quite a bit of like little rock chips and stuff like that that I need to fill in. For this to look good, I need to fill all those in, sand it all down, just so it's gonna be nice and smooth even after paint. So I wasn't originally gonna paint this, you know, until I saw the gash, and then I started seeing like little defects here and there. And I'm just gonna try to make it all better. There's parts where like the clear coat was peeling off already. I don't understand why, but a lot of little imperfections, so I'm gonna go ahead and fix that and paint it. So might as well have all these parts, you know, freshly painted, making the car look a lot newer than it was. Same thing that I did with my previous IS300, and that one, everybody kept asking me if it was like a 2008, a 2010 or something. Everybody thought it was way newer than the car actually was, and it was, when I tell them it was a 2002, they'd be really surprised. But as long as, you know, the paint and the headlights and everything is like on point and it's looking really good and fresh, that adds a lot of years to the car, to where it still looks like it's a fairly new car and it's not that out of date. And plus the Altezza emblem kind of confuses them quite a bit. So pretty much this week, finally got some time, I was doing some body work. The body work, as we know from you guys that watched my first IS300 build, body work is probably what takes the longest, just trying to get everything out, trying to get all the dents, trying to get all the little like specks that are in the paint, because we don't want them to show up after we paint. One of the main things that you want to do is make sure that everything is perfect before you even add a coat of paint, because the work that you do now is going to show up later. So if you do a really good job, it'll look really good later. If you get a little lazy on this portion, all these little rock chips are going to show up later and you're going to be regretting it. So definitely something that needs to, you know, take its time. Probably going to continue on through the night, try to paint it. So hopefully for next video you guys will see me putting the IS300 together. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's a little update on the IS300. As always, you guys have a great day.